No, Alan's going to be here 15 minutes. Oh, good.
I know,
So the,
Alan's going to be late. I haven't heard from Ken, and Greg is not making it tonight.
And Mayor, I have a couple of residents in the waiting room that I'd like to let in before I start the recording.
Yeah, it's 7:01, let's roll.
Okay, give me a second to let them in, please.
Recording in progress.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to our Thursday, February 5th, 2026 Town Council Work Session. As always, we start with the pledge. So can I have Earl in the back row trying to hide from me? If he can lead us in the pledge, that would be fantastic. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can't hide from me, Earl. All right, let's keep rolling. Moving into public comments. Public comment allows residents and stakeholders to address the town council on town-related matters pertaining to the work session. Speakers must sign in before the meeting, observe time limits, 3 minutes per individual, 5 minutes per group. Do we have anybody? We have nobody in the audience, but, well, we do have people in the audience. I didn't mean it that way. Earl and Kristen, I'm sorry. Do we have anybody online with any questions? We can also table the questions. All right. Let's move on to.
I have no public comment.
All right, thank you. And they can always email us or reach out to Town Hall if they think of something later on. Let's move right into item number 1. Again, we have 2 items on here tonight. Number 1 is the accessory dwelling unit law update, which goes into effect October 1st. Not today, not next month, but October 1st. And the other one is just telling you all about the North Beach flower box replacement. So we have 2 items. So
Okay,
I'd like to
Mr.
turn.
Mayor?
Yes.
Apologies. If I could request an additional item, which is to reopen the discussion about the COLA.
Can we do that at a work session? We didn't.
if there's a motion, you need a second.
That's fine. Do we have, we don't. All right.
But it's not advertised and it's.
Right. I have a motion on the floor to amend the agenda to include a COLA description or
A discussion of the cost of living adjustment.
all right. We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Oh, I proposed the motion, so I'm not sure if I can second it.
So we have a motion. Do I have a second? Hearing no second, the motion doesn't move forward. All right. Let's go right into the accessory dwelling unit law update. House Bill 1466, Senate Bill 891.
All right, this is mine. If it's okay with council, I'm going to present here so I can see the screen. We're going to tonight go over at a very high level what this new law does. Can you mute your thing? I'm sorry, they're getting an echo. You are muted. I'm not sure why we're getting an echo. So in 2025, the Maryland General Assembly enacted the That probably did it. Okay. The law is a statewide policy requiring local governments to authorize ADUs and limit zoning and permitting practices that create barriers. The law became effective October 1st of 2025, and local jurisdictions will have to enact a new law locally and complete an ordinance that's compliant with this new law by October 1st of 2026. And until such time the town council enacts that law, our current zoning ordinance is in effect. Can you do this for me, please? Thank you. Got it? Okay.
I have it on my screen. I don't know why Kevin has it.
Kevin, could you put that presentation up for council, please? You got it? Okay. Okay. An ADU is a secondary dwelling unit on the same lot as a single-family detached homes. They can be interior attached or detached. The maximum size is 75% of the gross floor area of the primary dwelling, and the town has to establish objective local standards to ensure safety and compliance. Next one. That's okay. Can you go to the next slide, please? The requirement of the law is that all jurisdictions with zoning authority must adopt the ADU authorizing ordinance consistent with the new state policy. The town will retain control over objective development standards, and the law significantly limits discretionary exclusionary zoning practices, and the town's role shifts from discretionary land use review to administrative implementation. Next slide. I'm going to start with what we can't do, because the law is very specific about this. And on this slide, you can see that in simple terms, under state law, the town may not use zoning, parking, design, fee, or procedural requirements that effectively prevent the construction or, this thing is jumping all over the place. I need to be on what we may not do, please. There we go. I'm going to start this over again. So what we can't do is impose larger minimum lot sizes. We can't require stricter setbacks. We can't require more than one off-street parking space. We can't apply subjective design, allow restrictions that prohibit ADUs, charge impact fees for ADUs less than 750 square feet, and we cannot take longer than 90 days to approve any application that comes in. Next slide. What we can do is establish objective development standards, enforce our safety and building codes, apply parking requirements when supported by a study and waiver process. We can restrict alley-only ADUs that rely on alley access, and allow the HOAs to treat ADUs as separate lots for voting and assessments. Next slide. It's challenging for the town of North Beach because it limits our local zoning discretion to discretionary review. There's capacity concerns with infrastructure with this new law. There's limits on impacts fees and reduction of cost recovery options with the state mandate. Parking constraints and limited on-street parking capacity is an issue, and then we have added administrative workload required to do this without any additional state funding. So any work that will be completed will be done and must be done with existing staff. Strategies that the state does allow us to use when we're adopting our new law is to adopt clear objective standards, apply parking requirements that's strategically within our state limits. We can enforce our parking regulations. We can address infrastructure through building code requirements, but you can't prevent somebody from hooking up. We can ensure that fees are proportionate and compliant, and we can monitor the implementation as allowed. And then I wanted to go briefly over the roles and responsibilities, because this is really important, because there's four legs to this particular stool. The town staff is going to take a look and has already looked at our existing ordinance. We've marked up where we think those changes need to be made. We'll be providing technical assistance throughout the process. That will then go over to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission will review the staff analysis. They're required to obtain public feedback, evaluate the law's consistency with the comprehensive plan. That is their primary role. And then they hold the public hearing and then recommend the draft ordinance to the town council. The town attorney will review all of this paperwork for legal compliance. And then ultimately it comes back to town council once we receive the Planning Commission recommendations, and we will hold the public hearings required and then ultimately adopt this ordinance by October 1st. It is our goal to have that done this summer so that we have time to adjust internally for what happens by October 1st. You can always adopt that and make it effective October 1st. we are expecting a lot of questions to come back from the Planning Commission review, so it is our intent to bring those questions back to council before we go to any public hearing with the Planning Commission. That's it, United Side. And then the next steps, I mentioned that staff has already done we finalized our analysis. The commission's going to recommend those changes. We're going to balance compliance with our local impacts the best that we can, and we'll adopt that ordinance and get it in place by October 1st. So the goal tonight really is to make sure that the public understands the process that we have to follow, to get any questions that the council may have so that we can get those down in front of the Maryland Department of Planning to make sure our answers are correct. And then, of course, we'll be reviewing that with the town attorney. Any questions that we get from council or the public, we will be populating an FAQ page on our website as they come in. And we'll keep the public and the council and the planning commission as informed as best we can as we're moving through this process. So that's it in a nutshell. It's a very, very high-level view of a very, very strict law. And it really limits what the town can do, but we are going to do our best to stay as compliant as we can with minimal impacts to the town. And with that, I'll open it up to any questions you would like us to record or.
So the goal is, you have it tonight. Obviously, you can go online, you can go to the state, you can do whatever you want to do. But, is to get the questions over to staff so we can get it to the state, so we can have the individuals that are making this a law or made it law and have them answer the questions. We're not going to Google the questions. We're going to go directly to the direct source. There's a lot of moving parts on this, and it will and can dramatically affect our town. So we need to make sure that you get all of your questions answered. We will not answer them tonight, because if we say one thing wrong, then that's going to be on record, and then we'll be held to that. So what we will do is take your questions, we will get them to the state and get back to you, to all council members at the same time. Also, as we feed them or get them in from the public, there are other bills that are coming across the table now in Annapolis that could even, could really affect us dramatically. I do know MML has a stance on them. You all, council members, get a report from MML. If you're not getting it, make sure you're signed up for it. We will do our best to have communication with the Annapolis, but they have 2,500 bills, and there's an agenda. So we just need to speak our mind, get the information to them. So I'll open up the floor to the council. If y'all have any questions for staff, again, we will get it to you. We have a lot of time. All right, please.
One of my questions is, and this is probably a question for Chesapeake Beach. Have they done a study on the wastewater treatment plant to see how this affects that? It's not just North Beach, because we have 4 partners.
Right.
And now it looks like we may have 5 partners at some point,
Who's that?
the Highlands.
That's Chesapeake Beach. Oh, that's Calvert County and Chesapeake Beach.
But will they be using their wastewater treatment plant?
Yes.
Because ultimately, I like the what ifs, and I do this a lot, but what if everybody puts an ADU on their property? And, now we have quadruple the amount of homes that the wastewater treatment now needs to take care of and maintain. Like, have they done a feasibility study on this? I think that's a question for them, and the mayor down there, to see if they are going to do this. I'm just curious. I know that there's capacity now. That doesn't mean there's always going to be capacity as it relates to water and sewer. So that's one of my big questions, but.
Nope, fair question. We'll get the answer to y'all as a group. And this is our first meeting, so if I know y'all have had this information for a week, but if you can't think of it, just come back to us. I promise you, we'll get them answered. Any other questions?
What kind of grants are available for the incentivizing of ADUs, for example, the National Housing Trust?
I want to make sure we're clear. Grants to the homeowner? No?
No, these would be grants for us that we could distribute through the
To,
town.
to the homeowner?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What else? And again, we have a lot of time. Go ahead, Ken.
I'd be interested to know if other jurisdictions, probably outside of Maryland, who've done something similar, I'm not quite sure if anyone has done anything similar, is what has been the effect? How many ADUs are actually done? Or at least an estimate to figure out, because North Beach, as we all know, there's not a lot of more room to put things. And why HOAs are involved, I have no clue if an ADA could fit at either HOA. I have no idea how that can happen. So I would just be interested to know, so because then we could possibly ballpark how many are we actually gonna get?
There is another bill they're trying to drop that says setbacks, sizes. You cannot hold setbacks, frontage, sides, or back. So you can, if that bill goes through, you will be able to build an ADU directly on the property line.
So the state legislators become the, planning commission for the entire state?
Yes, they have.
I know there's another issue maybe with some houses as well in town. You need to have access to these ADUs. And some of these houses are like within inches of their fence. I mean, you got, now you got an ADU in the back. You can't access it any other way. They're not, one of the things they say is not by the alley. So, I mean, some of these houses are gonna be disqualified just for the, just the access of getting to the ADU, unless the owner says, hey, walk through my house and out the back door to get to, your place in the back. I mean, there's a lot of questions here. I mean, I could probably go on and on and on, but, I mean, we've already done a parking study. We have a parking issue, so I don't really know how, I don't know, that's,
No,
I'll
definitely.
give somebody else a chance.
Keep getting questions. If not tonight, email them to staff, email them to Linda. We'll get the questions answered and get them back to the council, and we'll have an FAQ, like we said, on our website so people can learn about this impact and what's going on. We're talking about the ADUs.
Also, if it is a separate ADU and not attached to the current home on the property, you still have to have it livable with water, and so,
It's required, you cannot stop that. You have
Well-
to connect it to the house.
so you'd have to connect the ADU to the house,
But it's
because
not a-
really,
It's not an EDU though. You cannot increase their EDU. You cannot charge them for that.
no, I know that, but I'm saying you can't, what I was saying is you'd have to be attached, in order to have the water going to it. Somebody can't have a separate, they can? Are we able to provide that?
Water line to their
many?
house.
Okay.
Again, listen, I apologize. There's going to be way more questions, and some of this might not even come to light. It might not matter. That's why we want to at least get it on your radar now, because you will be voting on this one day. So we're going to get you all the facts, no theories, no maybes. We're going to get you the facts from the state for you six to make the best educated decision possible. And no, this does not get vetted to any of us, did not come down through MML. This is the state legislators that did this, so.
Okay, yeah, just to clarify that point, so it's the law, and so we have to do it. So we have to create an ordinance in order for this to go through that makes sense for our town. So it's not really our choice whether we vote on it per se, like we have to do this.
We are required to set up a local ordinance that matches the requirements of the state law. Correct? Yep.
Goal is to find out, great point, is the truth and make sure we understand it. So when we do have to do the ordinance, if there's things that, every town's different, and there's 157 of them. You haven't been to them. I'm telling you, everyone's different. And we're all going to be affected differently. And what our goal is get you all the facts, get it to Planning Commission, have a great discussion to figure out what is the truth, what is out there on the social media, the facts. We only deal with facts. We don't do social media around here. So we'll get that information. But the more questions you have, we will do our best to answer. But if we can't get them answered, you got to remember, the whole state is going to be asking questions. I don't know how many staff members I have up there answering questions, but they're already slow to get responses now. So I can't imagine how long this is going to take. But the good news is we have a lot of time here. We are not rushed. We have a lot of time. So we will continue to ask the questions, continue to get them to staff, and we will get them to the best of our ability. But at the end, what Councilwoman Crosby said, yes, it's a law. So we just got to make sure we explain that properly to our residents. So if something goes south, they know that we are following the direction of the governor.
Linda, I have some to add to my list I gave you yesterday. How do the ADUs count for density counts? If in relation to our comp plan? And this is gonna be funny, what happens if we don't do it? If we don't get something in place by October 1st? Well, what's the slapdown from the state?
We will find that out for you.
Well, yeah,
I would just add to this that not only do we have to make an ordinance, but actually each municipality, I believe, has to report the number of targets of increased housing. So it's not just that we have to make a law, but it's also that we have to figure out how to increase the number of homes for people here.
And
is that coming from this bill, or is that something else?
That was an executive order from the governor.
so we're going to get all that to you. Anything that came from the governor, anything will be, if it's in writing, you will get it. So we have all the information. And yes, this is going to increase our workload for our staff. And I don't know what we're going to do. We'll figure out as we go along. Our goal was to put it out there to the public and to you to understand this is coming down the pike. We're going to work on it now. Just I see your finger.
You do?
Yeah, I saw you. I wasn't sure you hit the button.
You see it?
Yeah.
And another question too, like we have two big HOAs in our communities now. And so the question would be how this relates to them as well. And, some of them have a lot of limitations right now. As far as parking and space and, I mean, yeah, I get it. They want this law, but who really thought it through? So,
And what, I could just think for the two HOAs, our buildings aren't allowed. It's flat out, you can't put them in. So what's gonna happen when you've got, HOAs who are built in such a way that, or organized in such a ways that don't allow these type of buildings?
I think that's a good point, and I think it's also worth revisiting the relationship between what's allowed and what's the law, which is a constant thing that we have to manage in HOAs. But I think the bottom line is that we have to figure out what's going to work best for us and how are we going to make this work. There are several other places that already do ADUs and several other states that already do ADUs. But I think it's also important to think about what is the logic behind why we need to do this. And that is that there's just simply not enough places for people to live that they can afford.
Well, who's setting the rate for what they're gonna pay for this ADU? You know, there's no restriction on that.
I think the intentions was, back when they first started, was the age in place. This was not, to me, supposed to be a moneymaker.
Well, exactly, but.
Hold on, but we know where it's gonna go.
Yeah.
So we don't have to go there tonight. So absolutely, what else do
No,
we have?
so when we talk about affordable housing, that's my point. It's like, you know, the owner of the property is setting the rate, and they're not necessarily gonna give anything away.
Those are all great questions, and I think you're gonna come with hundreds of more. So you get them to staff, get them to Linda, they'll key them up, they'll get them back, get the answers, get them back to you, and we'll get them to the FAQs on the website. This is a long journey. This is a marathon, not a sprint. We will give you what we know, what we learned from Annapolis. They're in the middle of their session. So we just have to be a little patient, and we will not, my staff, myself, will not just give you an answer. It will be factual behind the words of a state representative. Any other questions before we move on? Stay tuned. We have many more discussions. Thank you.
Oh, if I can say thank you for starting this now, which is very early in the process.
Absolutely. All right. Let's move on to the next item, Town of North Beach Flower Box Replacement Project. Mr. Bowen, may you take the front and center seat?
I'm gonna kick off for Donnie, if that's
Please, y'all two work together.
okay. So, we put a bid out to replace the flower boxes, and Donnie will go into the details of the bid and what we're planning to do. But we put the bid out, and then we had to rebid it again because there was some confusion on the first bid. We went back out to bid late November, early December, I believe, and and I put the bid numbers up on the dais for you if you'd like to see them. But essentially, the first bidder withdrew, the second bidder could not get adequate bonding for the project. The third bidder is who we're here to talk to you tonight about. And we are recommending bringing this back to next week for council approval. So Donnie, I turn it over to you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Donnie Bowen, Director of Public Works. Can you hear? It's green lights on.
Is it on? Cool.
Kevin might have it muted. Say the green light, can you hear? As Ms. LaSalle said, we put it out to bid. The low bidder was he disqualified himself. Second low, couldn't get bonded, so now we're at the third qualified bidder. That, like I said, we plan on bringing that to you at the council meeting with our recommendation to award. It's under the money that we have in the budget for the project, right under there. We're looking to award that so we can get started. We'd like to award it, give the contractor time to order his materials and everything else. It's probably a 5-week lead time on the materials he needs. And we'd like to get started early April if possible, get as much as we can done before Memorial Day weekend, as y'all know. It's going to be a project where he's going to have to work with us, work with the town closely, work with everything else that's going on around, because as you know, that area gets so crowded after Memorial Day. It's going to be hard, but due to the weather and the bids that we had, that we went through the process with the first two bidders, that's why we're at this point now. So we'd like to bring it to you next week and try to get that awarded so we can start as soon as possible. We'll start at the 7th Street Inn and work south. So we're going to start there, try to knock out the main area, get through there before Memorial Day, like I said, and continue on south all the way around to 1st Street. It might be a case where in the summertime we take a break from the project because of the traffic and it's not financially good for the contractor or for us, but we'll make sure that price is guaranteed through the project from the contractor. They'll be bringing in a lot of material. There'll be 6x6s for that, wooden 6x6s. We'll store some on the beach until the beach opens up, and there'll probably be dumpsters along Bay Avenue for the old material to be removed. Like I said, we're going to have to work hand in hand with the contractor to get it done, but it's a much-needed project. If you go down there now and walk along the area, you'll see the old timbers are just about had it, so they're about shot. So we'll be ready next week to bring it for award in front of the council. We just want to give you a heads up tonight.
Yep. Mayor, and council, we did have $200,000 budgeted in this year's CIP, so this is below the threshold for that budget amount. 178, I believe, is
Yeah,
the
it's
total.
180, right around 178, 180 for the qualified bidder.
So the company that actually, well, we're recommending that you support or you approve next week, if you remember, we redid the bike path in front of the Welcome Center. And while we were there, we redid the flower beds right there too, part of the bike path, because the bike path was collapsing. So we fixed the bike path, drove in sheeting. While we were there, we took care of the flower beds right there. They turned out amazing. So I'm excited that he was able, and again, he was not the lowest bid at first. So it works out because he has the knowledge. He knows what he's doing. He did a great job that I believe everybody here walks all the time. You've seen it a million times. You might even recognize it. And again, our goal is to start on 7th Street and work south as quick and as possible. It's a time-consuming job. You got to take the old ones out. You got to deal with some of the dirt. We have also we're going to look at the wiring and the sprinkler system while we're there. So there's a lot of moving parts, but I'm very excited that the numbers came in and we were able to get, it's a lot of work to First Street. Walk it one day. Imagine how many flower beds. So I think it's going to be a huge improvement. You'll see some adjustments as we go along. So I just want to please ask any questions you'll have to Donnie.
As the mayor stated, we had a pretty good range of bids that came in. Went from the low 100,000 to 400,000. So I think if we can get this project done for this price, it'll be a deal for the town because there's a lot of work, a lot involved there. So I think the town will greatly benefit at this price. So,
Council, you'll have any
Council,
questions
any
today?
questions?
I know I've seen Councilman Kramer do a lot with the dollars, so I know he knows what we're talking about.
While we're doing this, are we looking about adding any extra pedestrian cuts in anywhere? Or closing
Looking to
any up?
close them. We are looking to close the small ones. Our goal is to make it safer down there, so we're going to direct people to the crosswalks. So you'll see some little ones that are going to close off because we have so many near misses from people just walking. So we are going to close off some, and the big ones where where the ramps are will be left open. We're shooting to force people to go to the crosswalks for safety because no matter how many speed bumps we put down in the summertime, no matter how wonderful the view is, people some reason want to speed on Bay Avenue.
And not only that, they want to cross
Yes.
right at that corner where you turn where Neptune's is,
Yeah.
like right there. As soon as you round the corner, there's always something going on there.
So yes, Councilman Humble, we are going to, the small ones.
I also know, especially between First and Second, there's a couple oddball storm drains right at the edge. I don't know if when that's ripped open, if we're going to look at that maybe redesign on that storm drain access or whatnot. I know there's a couple weird ones in that area.
Right. We will look at everything as we go along. Like the mayor said, sprinkler system, any electrical needs, while they're open, we'll try to address, where we can. The electrical and the sprinklers are pretty much in the middle though, so it shouldn't, but we're going to look at everything and fix anything that needs to be done separate from his contract probably, but we'll address that. Public Works will probably address that part. And I wanted to mention real quick, just, it is a local contractor, and I know the mayor and staff loves, using local, so it is a local contractor that's going to get the benefit from this, so. Any more questions?
And again, if y'all have any when you go home, you go, I should have asked that. Shoot it over to staff and we will get it answered. It's been a long time coming. Those flower beds are extremely old, falling apart. We put a lot of Band-Aids on them over the last 10 years. Well, we're taking the Band-Aids off. We're going to make it look better and address any issues. Definitely, Mickey, the storm drains, I know exactly the ones you're talking about. It's just weird where they are. So we will address all of that. From First Street to 7th Street, we're going to address every single item that's affected by the flower beds.
And as we move along, we'll give the council an update on progress and like where we might stop. And if we can work through the summer, we'll work through the summer, but we'll keep you posted on how it's going. We'll definitely curb hours on like Fridays like we did with the pier. We did the pier decking in the middle of summer and didn't have many problems at all. So we plan on working closely with the contractor and do the same type thing. So hopefully minimal disruptions, the hours might change or days might change. So depending on the season. as we get closer to peak summer.
And everybody knows where DPW is. Swing by, talk to him. He's, all right. No other questions for Donnie? All right. Well, thank you so much. That was the second item on our list. May I have don't forget, we have our council meeting next week, starting at 7 o'clock sharp. We have a lot of items on there, so please make sure you come. Earl, we expect you to be here. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. Can I have a second? We have a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So moved. Thank you.
Recording stopped.